So let's say that someone has followed all of this advice and they now want to make a will in Spain. How do they do it?
The first thing to do, obviously, is, as we said, consult your lawyer. You tell your lawyer what you want to do. What are the instructions that you want to be included in your will? Then the lawyer will, together with the notary public, write up a will. They normally use, the notary that we normally use has document in Spanish and English. Obviously, the English translation is for their own understanding. The Spanish is the legal. That's correct. So what happens is that we help the client word that will. Sometimes they do not know how to go about it. How do I write this? I want to do this. How do I make it sound legal?
Yes.
So we help them do this with the help of the notary public, checking with them all the time that what the client wants to write in their will is correct and is according to the law of their nationality.
Now, that can sound very complicated. In practice, what happens is that you come and see your lawyer and you say, I want to make a will in Spain, and they say, good. And then they'll say, what do you want to do? And you will say, I want to leave everything to my wife, or I want to leave everything to my children, or I want to leave the house to my wife and everything else to the children. And then the lawyer does all the rest.
That's correct. We will do all the wording, we will draft the documents. So the client just needs to give us the instructions.
Yes.
What you want to happen with the property when you die. Well, I want it first to go to my wife, then to my children, and so on.
Yes.
So we'll do all the legal work on that.
So it's easy for the client.
It's very easy. All they have to do is just read the draft, just to make sure that this is the instructions that they give us.
Yes.
So we send, once we have the confirmation from the client, we send a draft of the will to the notary public so that they can check as well and they can make sure that everything is according to the law of their nationality. Yes. Then we set up an appointment for the client to go and sign the will in front of the notary public, and at the convenient time for the client, he comes to the notary's office accompanied by one of the staff at Manzanares.
A translator.
A translator who will translate the document for the client if it is needed, because as we said, the document is in English and Spanish, so the client has already gone through the draft of their will, but sometimes they just want to ask a question and it's...
But also it is the duty of the notary to make sure that the client understands what he's signing, and the notary will insist that there is a translator if the person doesn't speak fluent Spanish.
Yes. The case is that normally the notary will speak English, not all the time, but the notary we normally deal with speaks very good English. So he will read the document to the client again, make sure that this is, and before they sign, he will ask the question, this is your will, do you want to sign it? These are your instructions. Are you ready to sign them? So he asked that question a few times before the client actually signs and the notary witness his signature.
So you go to the notary's office, go through a few formalities, prove who you are, produce your passport, and so on.
Passport is essential. Take your passport with you that day, yes.
And then you're shown into the office of the great man, and he will deal with your will.
That's right.
And he will read your will to you.
He will read the will
every
to
word
the client.
Of it.
Every word of it.
And you have no idea how quickly someone can read until you've heard someone who's being paid a fixed fee for reading a long document.
But it's, as we said, it may seem complicated because you think, oh, how do I go about signing a will? But step by step, it's simple.
Yes, indeed.
You just give the instructions and the people who know about it will do the job for you.
Okay, now that's all pretty simple. And then once you've signed it, the notary gives you a copy of the will, but the original he keeps in his records.
That's right. He keeps the original all the time in the office. The client takes an official copy with him, and nothing happens if that will gets misplaced. Or,
the copy will.
Yes. Yeah. The official copy that he takes may get misplaced, lost, damaged, because the original is kept at all times with the notary public. Yes.
And they don't lose them.
They don't lose
No.
them, and they better not do. The notary, it will actually send details of that will that has been signed to the wills registry in Madrid.
Yes.
So when someone wants to find out whether one of their deceased relatives have signed a will, they check the wills registry, and that gives them details of when and where this person has just signed a will.
Yes. And that's a great system. I mean, we don't have one in the UK, and it's a fantastic system. So, pretty simple. Go to the notary, sign your will, you get a copy, notary keeps the original, registers the fact that you've made a will in Madrid, so that when you die, anybody can go along and say, has this person made a will? Ah, yes, the will is stored with notary number 4 in Figueroa, for example.
That's right, yes. That's how it goes.
Okay, so that's if you make the will in Spain. Now, of course, you can also make a will governing your Spanish assets in your own country.
That's correct.
And exactly how you will do that will vary from country to country. But generally speaking, it is more complicated, isn't it, if you do it in your own country than if you do it here in Spain?
There is no legal obligation to sign a Spanish will, but as we said, it makes things much simpler, less costly for the future heirs to deal with inheritance. And if you just think about that, all the amounts of documents that need to be prepared, translated, sent to Spain, it just is not worth doing it. It's not worth not signing a Spanish will.
Now, there's one practical tip here, I think, and that is if you urgently need to make a Spanish will, but you can't come to Spain, then at the very least what you can do is say, let's take a British person, you could make a will in England that says, I leave all of my property anywhere in the world except for stuff that's located in Spain to do A, B, C, D, E with. And then you make a separate will that says, this will relates only to my property in Spain, and I leave all my property in Spain to my wife. So now you have a very short document for Spain that can be translated and dealt with.
That's correct.
Much more cheaply and more quickly than the other way around.
It is worth mentioning in your English will what you want to happen with your Spanish assets if you haven't had time to sign a Spanish will, for example.
Yes, and sadly, sometimes people only realise they need to make a will when they're in hospital at the end of their life, and so maybe you can't get to Spain to do it. Getting to Spain is the best way, but at least there are alternatives available too. The other question that I've often been asked is, well, can I just appoint someone under a power of attorney to make a will? And the answer is you can't. It's one of the few things that you can't do under a power of attorney.
That's correct. It's one of the things you cannot do. No one can sign a will by means of a power of attorney. If you are in Spain and you're very ill, if you cannot just go out and you're at home for whatever reason, the notary public will come
to see you.
Yes. And obviously will make sure that you are okay to sign a will, and that you're okay to give those instructions. But there is no way that you can do this by means of a power of attorney.
Okay, so it's all pretty simple, really. You should make a will because it will save you a ton of money and a ton of trouble. If possible, make it whilst you're in Spain because that's the cheapest, easiest and fastest way. If you can't make it in Spain, at least make a separate little will back in your own country dealing only with your assets in Spain, because that way you've got one small document to translate rather than one massive document to translate.
That's correct. That's a very good tips for
Mari
people
Carmen,
will need to know about.
Well, Mari Carmen, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We hope you found that useful. If you have, please like this video or follow us. If you would like to make contact with Mari Carmen and her team, then the link to allow you to do so is at the bottom of this video. We do have a written guide to making wills on the Costa del Sol, and that also is linked to in this video. And of course, you can find lots and lots of other guides about all sorts of aspects of the legal system in Spain at our website, www.guides.global. Thank you for listening. Look forward to seeing you again. Goodbye.